Happy Monday. Okay, one thing that's been happening a lot, it's driving me crazy. At the beginning of class, I have a picture of somewhere on the board and they have to guess where it is. It's from a website called GeoGuessr. And they can move around, they can go forward or back, they can zoom in. And they have to try to figure out what country they think it is. Every single time, almost every single time, I guess, somebody says, when I ask them, what country is it? They say Africa. Africa is not a country, it is a continent. It has, I can't remember now if it's 53 or 57 countries within the continent of Africa. It's too bad, see these students. I try so hard to help them realize that Africa is a very diverse, large place, not one monolith. And it happened in every single class today, and I was like, you guys, Africa's a continent. That's it, my brain is empty. One of the most annoying things is when you spend a significant amount of time specifically explaining something. I even made, so I have a weird grading system. I made a document called Frequently Asked Questions about my grading to help students understand. And I talk through all of it. I say, do you have any questions? They're all like, no, we get it. Is this helpful? Yeah, this is helpful. And then I proceed to answer the question that was answered in the FAQ that they said they didn't have any questions about. I answered that question about 7 times at least in that class period, even though they didn't have any questions when I asked if they had any questions. Waiting till I'm out of earshot of any students. Okay. One kid was saying that Abe Lincoln is fake. He's the kid who also said Canada is fake and Australia is fake. So, I mean, he's got a shtick and he's staying with it, you know? So this week we are decorating for homecoming. And so the student government kids and the Senate kids are staying after school and they're making decorations, putting up decorations, etc. Okay? That's what's going on. So I am supervising them from 6 to 9 each night, and I was there last night, and yet another mouse appeared. I was talking to a couple of my students, and a mouse was just running right in front of us, and they screamed and freaked out, and I just left. So our homecoming theme is Tangled. So they're making all kinds of Tangled decor, and they're putting stuff from the movie all over, right? I have one student, apparently he drew a Pascal that's just out of this world, and I haven't seen it yet, and I told him I've got to see it or I won't believe it. I had 2 students who were late, like a significant amount of late. They went out to go get lunch, and when they came back, class had started like 15-20 minutes ago. So they brought me food, and it was especially funny because they're like, we brought you food as a peace offering. I was like, I mean, okay, you're still late, but that was very nice of you. They were like, we got you a sandwich, and then the fries were in my bag, and one of my students was like, oh, except we didn't get you fries. We don't love you that much. So he took the fries out. Fries were for him, not for me. And now I'm going home so that I can let my dogs out and come back to go back to school. What a week. Hopefully I have more pencils. I think these are pencils. I cannot remember. Last year, oh, hi. Also, I cut another mouse. Mouse number 3. Last year, every year at the end of the school year, they ask us to make supply orders for like anything we need at the beginning of the school year. I was not capable of that last year. At the end of last year, I was barely capable of coming into the building. Last year was the worst. Everybody knows it, right? So I am starting the year off with whatever I ended with. So I think these are pencils, but I'm gonna be real. I don't know, let's find out together. It's so, oh, it smells like Play-Doh. It smells like Play-Doh, maybe it's Play-Doh. Oh, balls. And it's Play-Doh. Buckets. I bet I could have looked at the box and it would have told me that. Cool story, it says Play-Doh on the box. Today was our Connections Day, and we had a great time. But before we had a great time, I have one student, He's been in my connections class now for 2 years. We're pretty tight. He's a cool kid. And he does not like to sit with everybody else. He prefers to sit alone, but I make him sit by people. So today I was having everybody sit in certain sections in the room, and he's like, can I sit over here? And I said, no, you cannot. And he's like, what if I do anyway? And I was like, I will drag you over physically to where you're supposed to be sitting. And he was like, he looked at me, he's like, okay. And I said, I'm stronger than I look. I promise you. I'm stronger than I look. And he's like, okay. So he sits on a chair and I do my best, like, intense squat. I grab the legs of the chair and I start dragging him over to the other end, the other side of the room. I need you to understand. He's tall, he's broad, he's a big guy. He said that he's like, you're pulling like 300 something. I don't know. I don't remember if he gave me an exact number, but it was in the 300 pounds. I dragged him halfway across the room, and then the bottom of the chair got stuck on an outlet, and then he shifted the chair so it wasn't on the outlet anymore to have me keep doing it. Oh my gosh. Anyway, he was very impressed. I was pretty impressed. Now I know what I'm capable of. This is a big deal. I wish I'd filmed the moment this happened so much. So there is, if you are not a teacher, and especially if you're not a social studies teacher, maybe a language arts, but especially social studies, then you do not know what CNN 10 is or who Carl Azuz is. CNN 10 is a program, a 10-minute news program produced every day, Monday through Friday, for students. It is geared towards students. And it's just a roundup of the basic news of what's going on. It has been anchored, I think, from the beginning. As long as I've been watching it, it's been anchored by a man named Carl Azuz. He is fantastic, but he also makes terrible puns, just terrible puns. And then at the end of the show, he, there's a few ways he ends the show. He either ends with like a monologue that has tons of puns in it, or he ends the show with a rap that is terrible, a terrible rap. And it's amazing. It's amazing. And so all of my students have been watching CNN 10 every day for a while. So then one of my students in 4th period is like, hey, I heard Carl Azuz is gone. And I was like, what? So I decide to indulge. I go to CNN 10 and I click on today's CNN 10. It has the intro music. Everybody knows. And then the person that comes on screen is not Carl Azuz. And I am telling you, the entire class was like, what? Like, freaked out. I wish I had a recording. They all freak out. There's just like screams and shouts and everything all over the room. I laughed so hard that I am literally crying a tear of laughter. And then they were like, well, what does he do? Does he do the raps at the end? So I go to the end and he does not do any raps or any pun monologues. And they were like, what? So they got freaked out all over again because they've come to really appreciate that. And so then as they were working, I tried to find some more information, and I found an article that was like, nobody knows why Carl Azuz is gone. It's bananas. They are invested. And I was like, I think we should probably get an update. You know, maybe once a week, let's just update ourselves about Carl Azuz and the CNN 10 saga. It is the first Friday of the first full week of school. Welcome to that. And it is also the first day that I didn't love. I'm not gonna lie. There is heightened stress right now with student government, and I told a couple of groups of kids to shove it because they were just bugging me. There were still some good things. Maybe. Didn't really eat lunch. That's not a good thing. First period I told to shove it. Second period I was like, I'm for real about these cell phones. Next time I'm gonna give out so many behavior tickets. And third period was student government, where we were all stressed. And I didn't eat lunch. And then there's fourth period. Fourth period was great. now that I look back on it, like, wow, not a great day. That's life. That's what the people say. Is that the line? Anyway, it's time for the weekend.